you're watching on the live stream, maybe you could suggest a song. I noticed that tons of bicycle riding people just make a little, make videos of themselves riding, listening to music. I'm kind of into the ambient sound. I went and saw the Jacques Tati movie last night, Playtime, and the sound design was so wild, man. He might be as much of an influence on This Is Now as anybody. Just a bunch of crazy shit happened. Look at that girl. So there it is, you're just riding along and there's the Eiffel Tower. Dr. Eiffel, I think he was a doctor? Maybe. That might have been Dr. Guillotine, you get them confused. So they built this beast, a World's Fair. It was a design competition. Pretty sure that Eiffel stole it from someone. But what's kind of interesting about it, I mean, it's made out of iron. It was bright red at one point. Now it has its own dedicated color called Eiffel Tower Bronze, which is not a color I'd want to paint anything. But they're like, we have the exclusive right on it. I mean, I wouldn't even want to bicycle that color. One of those things I learned at some point along the way is that the Otis Elevator Company was struggling. It wasn't the powerhouse it is now. And when Eiffel built the tower, he was like, we need some elevators, but nobody could figure it the fuck out. But also part of the thing was it had to be all French. So they rung him up and was like, we have an idea to make these kind of, they had to go on the diagonal, which elevators, I guess, couldn't do at the time. And he's like, thanks, I gotta find somebody else so you're not French. Eventually they just set up an office like all multinationals and said, yeah, we're French now. And he was like, all right, let's do it. And that's why there's elevators. But that color, come on, man. Eiffel Tower Bronze. It's made out of iron too, which at the time was, I wouldn't say it was cutting edge, but it's a funny, iron is a funny story because Napoleon was really obsessed with iron, but you know, as someone who loves to shoot cannons, I guess that was to be expected. Whereas the city used to be filled with stone, everything was made out of stone. He wanted to build things out of iron. One of the problems with doing these things live with no editing and the sound as it is, like Jacques Tati, it's like a lot of me clearing my throat. That sounds scary. Again, Paris is a city. It sits on a super important river. Rivers are the way of the world for a long time. Long before data centers. Whoa. That black bus. I talked about this a little bit before, but Parisians or not Parisians, French are great at endurance sports. riding around some yesterday trying to figure out how I was going to do this. None of this is really rehearsed or thought out. I just think, okay, I can ride this way. I saw so many people in like triathlon gear, like former races. It's wild. I think as the French is really, really stylish, but there's some real fucking badasses here. And they have great bike lanes. Tomorrow is the finale, stage 21 of the Tour de France. And if you've ever paid any attention to Tour de France work, coverage, they use this term all the time called traffic furniture, which is essentially curves or medians or things that get in the middle of the road that are dangerous when you're riding, 20 bikes through at 40 miles an hour. And you see here, because it's so well kind of thought out, and it's designed to protect you. But if you were racing flat out with a bunch of crazy ass bicycle riders, jacked to the gills on carbohydrates, you have to be careful. I mean, those guys can bunny hop over shit quite well. Can we go? All right, I'll do it. If you don't want to go, I will do it. So we're on the left bank because left is best. I think even in the French Revolution, the revolutionaries sat on the left side of the body. So we started with a good idea. Stay left. Just an incredible place, filled with a million oh wow moments. Can't stop every time I say oh wow. Well, I could, but it's 8:23 local time. I'm getting caught by lights. It's thrilling. This little bicycle has a 3-speed hub, and I have it in the big gear all the time. Sometimes starting with one hand. It's a little creaky like the grandpa I am. So you can see houseboats on the Seine. I really like to live on a houseboat. This is going to be problematic. These early mornings mean you're going to see a lot of street cleaning and a lot of garbage men. Oh, look at these cats. The full peloton is here. Let's go. Amigos. Hopefully. There we go. Purloined obelisk. I don't really know how to handle this because I want to go left. But France are pretty respectful about you guys just charming your way across intersections. And if New York's taught me anything, it's to never surrender. So the fountains are turned off here for some reason. I don't know, could be global warming, could be almost anything. But what makes this famous, what makes this place most famous, is this is where, during the Reign of Terror, they were just lopping off heads with the guillotine. Dr. Guillotine had tried to invent a more humane way to kill people. Oh, here's something really interesting. So here's the obelisk again. I think the Turks gave it to the French. But they got it here finally. It was hard, and then they couldn't figure out how to stand it up. So the French made essentially a hieroglyphic, or just an infograph of how to stand it up in case anybody forgot. I think that's crazy. So Guillotine, he was essentially a humanitarian because he thought, dude, these people are killing each other in obscene ways. Rich people could choose their executioner, and it could be someone who could delay it. They could go across the world, go across the country. I mean, not the world, I guess, but across the country. So he invented this, just a single blade that drops. It was basically for poorer people who didn't have a real, they're getting their heads chopped off and rich people are dallying around doing stuff. But also, the executioners were just some poor hired dudes. It's like a guy got off Craigslist. Those guys could do whatever the fuck they want. They're pouring molten metals down people's throats, drawing, quartering them, or they just rip them apart. The guy thought, this guillotine will be easy, it's cheap, it's efficient, and it's fair. Little did he know. And when I went to see the Odyssey premiere at a huge theater the other night here. 2,700 people in there. That's about how many heads they lopped off there in the Place. And the point is, wasn't just one guillotine. Can you imagine the line? So just guillotines all over the place. I don't even know if the guy got a copyright on his design. So we're on the right bank now, which is a little more commercial. The other side is a little more just people living, I think. Let's see if we can get down. Look at this. Fun. So back to the story about the Eiffel Tower winning the competition. It was a student's idea. Eiffel built it. But in hindsight, I think like a giant guillotine would have been really representative of France. Would have been cool. Could paint it red. Whoops, I don't. How are we feeling here? Boy, yay. Every nook and cranny, it's got something. I was reading a little bit about Louis XIV, the Sun King. He's everywhere. That he was short, really short, wore the high heel shoes, and he had little bitty arms and really big legs. And back then, maybe not till that long ago, having really big, strong, buff arms meant that you were a laborer, and it was something that, you know, the aristocracy weren't into. Sounds like a good enough reason for a revolution to me. And then when they talk about taking someone down a peg, I think there was a certain status in how high your shoes could be, your high heel shoes. It was mostly men, not women. And then if you showed up at one of Louis XIV's events and your shoes were taller, they'd take an axe to them and chop them down to size. Knock you down a peg. We have no idea if I can do this, but you know what they say. Don't ask, just apologize. Oh, I don't want to go that way. Oops, this way. All right, the Louvre. We just had the famous art heist about a year ago. There's the tower again. Incredible. What a place. But I also learned that Louis XIV, he was like, let's get the hell out of here and go out to Versailles because he didn't like the sight of poor people. Pardon? It's the tricky part about riding a bike with only my left hand on the wheel is the left hand is the front brake. And when you're off in this gravel and things, the last thing you really want to do is lock up the front wheel. Here's a pyramid that was once quite controversial, but now everyone's in love with it. It's not even that old. People were wondering, like, what does a pyramid have to do with the Louvre? But apparently, well, for the record, the first exhibition here was an Egyptian exhibition. I guess they had that obelisk and they thought, yeah, why not? I mean, look at this, man. Come on. Come on. Get out in the world and do your thing, folks. Be careful not to crash into stuff, but pretty good place to ride a bike. French people are really generous with the road, too. If I can whip around this beast. It seems unlikely, but maybe. Anyway, big legs, small arms. Yeah, you don't look like you can get all the way around, have it all blocked off. Right around here a little bit, maybe. I don't know if they built these lights for people to stand on like that, but it seems to work. Like the line to get in is already queued up. Amazing, right? I mean, how long does it take to build something like this? So much English spoken everywhere too, it's kind of funny. You wouldn't think they would, and they can turn up their nose at you a little bit if you don't. Look at this. Just that. Just that building alone. I mean, the juxtaposition of the kind of modern pyramid to these old, I don't know, 17th century buildings, 18th century buildings. I should do a little more research. It's cool. On the flip side, I was riding around the Latin Quarter, around close to where I'm staying, and I thought, you know, this is vastly more interesting than these monuments. That just the people hanging out and doing things is somehow cooler and more beautiful. Lots more people, you know. But this is pretty damn special. I know what you got to do to get yourself up on the Hall of Statues. Rest assured, I'll never be there. The Louvre, ladies and gentlemen. You too can come here. And getting from the airports, getting everywhere in France on the subway is so easy. It's kind of insane. I mean, compared to a lot of America, but in New York in particular, it's literally like having, you know, your mother when you're a kid hold your hand and walk you through things. It's all taken care of. I have no idea what this little guy is. Probably right under it. Let's see. Oh. Pardon? So if you see, you can see the Eiffel Tower. And one of the things I realized, like what used to be the case in New York with the World Trade Centers, more than the one now, you could orient yourself. You're like, oh, there it is. Wow. Let's see if I can get out of here now. Gotta love seeing some dogs out in the world. Oh, I think it's on this side, isn't it? Oh, forgot. would help if I rode around like for a couple of days so I had my bearings better. Part of the adventure is just to get out and see what happens. It's early enough in the morning you can kind of get away with things. What a ride. So one of the stories that I've told many times in my life is that when I was in college, I went to a party and there was a professor there named Joseph Krupa. Joseph Krupa was talking to me and some other students about French New Wave film in a class that he taught there. And someone asked, like, what good would a major in film be? And he said, quite honestly, I don't know, but it's good cocktail party knowledge. And at that moment, I was in.